All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to call the City Council meeting to order. One of the first things I'd like to do before we stand for a moment of silence, I'd like to read you all something. I would like to dedicate this moment of silence to Swami Cirillo, who helped begin one of our community's cherished festivals, the Sebastian Clam Bake, in 2002. She started out as a volunteer and served as the Clam Bake Foundation president for more than a decade, ensuring festival's success, bringing awareness to the Indian River Lagoon, and raising thousands of dollars for local nonprofits. The community is grateful for her amazing life, and if you would, stand and join me in a moment of silence for her. All right, thank you. Now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman McPartland. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Hill.
I'm here.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Dodd.
Here.
Councilmember McPartland.
Here.
And Councilmember Nunn.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, under agenda modifications, we have one agenda modification that we're going to add to new business, and we're going to call that 12B, and we have the amendment ready to go. Is there council? You okay?
Yep.
All right, we're going to add that 12B for the amendment, and we'll get to that later. Next thing we have is proclamations, and I will come down front. I was going to try to read it without my glasses, but that's not going to happen. All right, the first one we have is the Peace Officers Memorial. Police Department, please join me. Okay.
Not that button.
Testing, 1, 2. You get good? Okay, thank you. National Peace Officers Memorial Day, May 15th. National Police Week, May 15th through the 21st. Whereas in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas members of the City of Sebastian Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of our city. And whereas it is important that all citizens understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of our police officers and police department, which include safeguarding life, property, protecting citizens against violence and disorder, the innocent against deception, and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the City of Sebastian Police Department increasingly provide a vital public service. Now therefore, I, Fred Jones, by the virtue of authority invested in me as Vice Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby call upon all residents to observe the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2022 as National Police Week with appropriate ceremonies and observances, and further to observe May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of law enforcement officers who through their courageous deeds have made the ultimate sacrifice and service to their communities or have become disabled in the performance of their duties. I get shaken up about that because I was a police officer for 31 years, so forgive me. And witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Sebastian, Florida, to be affixed this 11th day of May 2022. Thank you. All right, we're going to have Karen Miller come up. Karen? All right. How are you? All right, this proclamation is National Public Works Week, May 15th through the 21st. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital to sustainable and resilient communities could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works officials at all levels. And whereas the support and understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water, sewer, streets, highways, public buildings, solid waste collection, parks, and canal maintenance. Now, therefore, I, Fred Jones, Vice Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim May 15th through the 21st of 2022 as National Public Works Week and urge all of our citizens and organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved with providing public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand and seal and caused the seal of Sebastian, Florida, to be affixed this 11th day of May 2022. Thank you. Mark Cannon. This is a proclamation for National Safe Boating. And we have a big crowd here tonight.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, come on. All right, whereas for millions of Americans, including those in Sebastian, boating continues to be a popular recreational activity. And whereas during National Safe Boating Week, the U.S. Coast Guard and its federal, state, and local safe boating partners encourage all boaters to explore and enjoy America's beautiful waters safely and responsibly. And whereas safe boating begins with preparation through basic boating safety, training and procedures, equipment and out planning and preparation. And whereas hundreds of people die each year of boating-related accidents in the United States, and it is estimated that a vast majority of the boating-related accidents are caused solely by human error or poor judgment, and not the boat or the equipment or environmental factors. And whereas a significant number of these fatalities are caused by drowning, many boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today had they worn their life jacket. Now, therefore, I, Fred Jones, Vice Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim May 21st through May 27th, 2022 as National Safe Boating Week to renew the year-round effort to promote safe boating and urge all of those who boat to attend safe boating classes, practice safe boating habits, and to wear a life jacket at all times while boating. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Sebastian, Florida, to be affixed this 11th day of May, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jeanette, and thank you, Mayor, for the proclamation. We're the Coast Guard Auxiliary. We're the volunteer arm of the Coast Guard. And our primary mission is recreational boater safety. We do a lot. Every other mission that the Coast Guard does, we support them, from cooking on board ships and in stations to doing aids to navigation surveys, doing air patrols and on-water patrols. But our primary mission is recreational boater safety. And to that end, we offer boating safety classes. Our next one is 21 May down at the American Legion in Vero Beach. In fact, I have a little information packet on that if someone is interested, if you're interested in attending. Tom McCarty here heads up our education department. And we're always interested in having people come to our classes. Doesn't matter your age. If you're a teenager, we'd really love to have you. Those are free classes for teens. We want to get the teens up to speed on basic boating safety. And a couple other things to remember if you're going out on the water. Of course, wear your life jacket, and wear a comfortable life jacket. Wear one that is an inflatable. Those are the best ones. You don't want to get one like you get on a cruise ship that's a big bulky thing, because you'll never wear the darn thing, right? So, and once you fall overboard, it's too late. You can't get in in your life jacket. You got to have the life jacket on while you're out boating. Another great thing to have is a PLB, a personal locator beacon, or an EPIRB. These are little small devices, handheld devices that are battery operated, and they send your location and your identification up to a satellite, goes to the Rescue Coordination Center, the National Rescue Coordination Center, and they alert authorities to come get you. It's a very efficient system, and if you have one of those attached to your life vest, you've got a very high, it takes a search out of search and rescue for you. So very, very good thing to do. And the third thing I forgot. So, but anyway, thank you again, Mayor, and we encourage everyone to take a boating safety class.
Did you guys want to say something?
Thank you, thank you.
So tonight we did have on this agenda item D for the proclamation, awards, and brief announcements. The substance abuse free Indian River was going to be here. They're not able to make it tonight. Hopefully, though, we're going to try to reschedule for July. So we will have the Councilmember Nunn. Would you read the announcement?
Yes, Saturday, May 14th is the Sebastian River Craft Club Show in Riverview Park from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
All right, thank you, sir. Do we have anyone from the public would like to talk about anything that's not on the agenda tonight? Yes, sir, please come up. And when you come up, can you say your name and where you live, please?
Thank you for taking me up front. John Allen Norris. I live at 566 Cross Creek Circle, and I would just like to make a suggestion at this juncture. Consider buying the Charlie Sembler property contiguous with Krabby Bill's and the other properties before another developer gets it and builds a two-story condo or a two-story restaurant. I think we've had enough population, 12,500 in 18 months. There should be more than sufficient funds to attempt to do something like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your input, sir.
Thank you. Talk to Elder Charlie Sembler. He's, of course, all for it because there's no bids.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak about anything that's not on the agenda tonight? Oh, yeah. Commissioner Moss, would you like to say something?
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. Your time starts now. You have 38 seconds.
I can talk fast. Thank you, Vice Mayor Jones and Sebastian City Council for your help in and the staff, Jeanette and Paul, for your help in disseminating the information about the county's visioning process, which has been in progress for almost a year now. But I want to extend a personal invitation in behalf of the county and County Commission to invite everyone in this community of Sebastian to weigh in on this. It's so important. We're talking about the future. We're talking 10, 20 years out. And you know what happens if you're not involved in the beginning, you might not like the ending. So, I just don't want it to come about that years from now people say, well, how did that happen? And something was discussed or presented, and this is everyone's opportunity to participate. Everyone is welcome. I know locally in Sebastian, the meeting is next Monday at 6 o'clock at the community center. So, and I want to thank you again. Thank you to the City Council and Vice Mayor and Mayor and staff for helping to disseminate this information and helping to encourage everyone to participate. It's so important. And thank you for allowing me to participate in your meeting.
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Moss, do you have some that we can leave in the foyer for people to know that if you want to come down and you want to know what's going on at that particular meeting, please pick up one of those and show up, because it's important to do it, like Ms. Moss said.
Yes.
That when at the finished product, we always have people come screaming at us about, why didn't y'all do this or do that, when they have the opportunity now for their input.
Now,
so it's very important. So.
Yes, very, very important. Now is the time. And as I mentioned earlier, we're almost a year into this. Anyone who would like to look back, there were previous meetings. It's all on the county website, which is ircgov.com. It's right on the home page in the center. Just click on Land Use Visioning Process, and it will take you to the previous meetings. You can watch videotapes. You can look at PowerPoints. So you haven't missed it. You can still go back and look at it and participate going forward. Thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Ms. Moss. All right, Council, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the consent agenda as it stands.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, second by Councilmember McPartland, I believe got in first there, Ed. Okay. All right. Yeah. Mr. Hill is there still?
Yes, he is.
All right, good. So all in favor, signify by aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. All right, unanimous. Thank you so much. Do we have any committee reports?
I do. So tonight, I just barely made it here by the skin of my teeth. I was at the Indonera County Tourist Development Committee meeting. It was our funding meeting, which we get to see presentations by many great organizations in this county that provide basically support for tourism. It's all about putting heads on beds in Indonera County, and we've got some great organizations that we've made a recommendation to the council, to the county commission to approve. But our tax revenue right now is about $25,000 short at this point that it was all of last year. Tax revenue is amazing this year. It's really good. We're projected to almost double what we did last year.
Good.
So about 5 million.
Wow, awesome. Anyone else? Okay, moving on, we're going to have a public hearing on, I'm going to go ahead and open this hearing. This is the second reading of the ordinance number O-22-04, but I do believe we have an issue with that. Mr. City Manager?
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'd
Yes.
like to move that we postpone this hearing until May the 25th meeting.
How about postpone or continue it?
Continue
To the,
to the May, all right, my motion is that we continue the hearing to the May 25th meeting.
Second.
all right, we have a motion and second to move this agenda item to May 25th meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, signify aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, we're moving on now. That item is moved forward. Do we have any unfinished business?
No, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Okay, so under new business, we have the establishment of the Centennial Task Force to plan the city's Centennial celebration. Mr. Carlisle?
Yeah, Vice Mayor, member of council, this was, we had originally just asked for consensus of council for us to provide a staff formed committee to do the celebration for our 100-year Centennial, which is going to be December 8th, 2024. But in our first meeting, it was brought up by former City Clerk Sally Mayo, and Jeanette did their due diligence and searched it out that we have to do this by resolution, and that our comments will be open to the sunshine based on the city attorney and the State Board on Ethics. So we have to do this by resolution versus just by a consensus. So this is merely a housekeeping item. We'd ask you to approve resolution R-2202.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I make a recommendation to approve Resolution R-2202.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Seconded by Councilmember Dodd. Is there anyone from the public would like to speak on this? Seeing none, is there anyone on Zoom?
There is not.
Okay.
Before we go, can I make a comment?
Yes, sir. Let's move forward with the comments.
Okay, I just want to let the public know that, wow, this is loud. I want to let the public know that there's going to be plenty of opportunity for the public to be involved in this. These guys are going to be coming out and asking for volunteers to assist them, and it just has to be done through the normal route, which means they have to post it. They have to post it and go through that process. No wonder it was echoing all over the place. Thank you. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity and for the public to be involved, and I would ask that as soon as they see these notifications that the public actually get involved with this committee in trying to assist us in putting together this 100-year celebration. It's going to be a full year's worth of celebration. It's not going to be one event. So we need to really have the public involved in moving through the process. And I think it's very important that we do this as open as we can, and that we make sure we get through the whole system with all the people that do all the celebrations, the craft brew, the shrimp fest, the clam fest, all of those celebrations that need to be involved in this. So,
Yep.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh,
They have those meeting dates scheduled yet, the first one?
We do not. We'll set some schedules up after we get this resolution passed or official, and then we can post calendar dates as we establish them.
Let me ask Manny a question. Manny, this has to be, it has to be done under the basis of the Sunshine Law. Does that mean that the council members cannot attend those meetings? Would that create an issue since we may have to approve budgets or so forth?
I don't think that would violate the sunshine as long as council members who attend don't have conversations amongst themselves.
Okay, all right.
So, or maybe just one attend at a time, but I don't think that would be an issue.
Okay, all right, thank you.
May I make a recommendation that we follow Indian River County's on this, and they post in every single posting of every other committee that one or more council members or, in their eyes, county commissioners may attend the meeting, therefore it covers sunshine law and public records?
I believe that's on our postings now, but we can make sure it is.
Yeah.
I thought it was,
We'll make
maybe
sure it is on
mistaken.
these.
But we'll make sure.
All right, thank you.
Good suggestion, thank you.
yeah, this is good. How's the input coming from the community? Are we getting people wanting to be involved with this so far?
Yeah, we have the former clerk, Ms. Mayo, who's been working with Mark Ringus, who's with the Rotary, Joanne White from the Parks and Rec Board, myself, Brian, Jeanette, and Kathy are the 4 members from this committee, but I don't remember the lady's name from the chamber.
Beth Mitchell?
No, she's
Patty
Cheryl
Williams?
yeah, Patty Williams.
Oh, Patty.
So, and then Beth's helping out as well. So we've got a great team involved.
I know I've been contacted a few times by people that want to be involved, so.
All right. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this? So we've had a motion, a second. How about we call the vote? All in favor, signify aye.
Aye.
All right, move on to item B that we added at the beginning of this meeting, the amendment. Council, what's your pleasure on it? Oh, hang on.
I move approval of Amendment 1 to the agreement between St. John's Water Management District and City of Sebastian for Sebastian Roseland Road Sewer, Septic to Sewer Project. And authorize the city manager to execute appropriate documentation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman McPartland.
I think he needs to explain it.
Mr. Carlisle, can you tell us a little more about this?
Yeah, Vice Mayor and members of council, this grant was originally applied for the septic to sewer grant in conjunction with the county project to help fund the upgrade of the sewer on the west side of Roseland Road to tie in all those parks. Some of those funds were not needed, so we transferred that grant, and it was a 33% match grant to the airport sewer project. That's why it says Roseland Road, but those funds are actually, we had done a previous agenda to transfer those funds over to the airport sewer to help cover those costs. When we went to do a reimbursement with the St. Johns River Water Management District, they realized that that grant for the airport was an FDOT grant, so they could only match it at 20%, not 33%. So there was a change of 13% in the monies that they would give us. There's no change in our allocation because we'd already, before this grant was allocated for the airport sewer, we had already allocated $403,000 to that grant. So we're going to only save 20% instead of 33% of that $403,000. So it's no additional cost to the city because that money was allocated, but it's still a great opportunity to reduce our costs by $160,000.
Well, that's good news. Thank you. Is there anyone from the public would like to speak on this? No? So we have a motion and a second? Roll call. Let's call the roll. Jeanette?
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
And Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda, city attorney matters first.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor. Just to remind council that I'm going to be off next week on military duty. I'll be at Fort Bragg for the whole week, but I'll be available by phone. If you guys need to reach me, you can reach me. And, time permitting, in the evenings, I'll check my emails and make sure I try to stay in touch with the city. That's it.
Thank you, sir. City manager?
Yeah, I have a couple items. First of all, the survey that was sent out is May 13th coming in a few days. So if you've received a survey, please get that to us. And the responses we're getting are pretty positive. I don't have an exact number, how many we have at this point, but I think we're close to the 870 that we need. And so if you got the survey and you haven't sent it in, please send it in. You're speaking for the entire community and what you'd like to see in the future of our community. The second thing is if you remember at a previous council meeting, we had 2 residents come up and talk about roosters. You asked staff to look into the roosters, and it's not included in the ordinance that allows fowl, so they're not prohibited by that ordinance. And we could change the ordinance, but we'd still have to address songbirds and, birds, cockatoos, cockatiels that people have. But there is a section in the code that Ms. Frazier found, 67.1, paragraph C, and it talks about fowl and noise from fowl and birds, and I'll read it if I can unlock my phone. And it reads under section C2, animals, birds, etc., frequent, habitual, or continued noise and which disturbs the peace and quiet and comfort of neighboring residents. So I took that ordinance that Lisa Frazier had given to me and I sent it to the code enforcement to go out and address that rooster problem with that code. So we should have some resolution there. But we still want to see what the consensus of the council is on changing that to even allow chickens in the city, but we just...
Well, I've been listening to, since we talked about the roosters and them crowing, I've had conversation with different people, and there are some people that like to have their roosters because they want fertilized eggs so that they can have chicks to sell or do whatever they want with. And there is a type of a collar that people can purchase for their rooster, which keeps them from being so loud. And I was like, what? But there is apparently a device that you can put on the rooster's neck that doesn't allow them to crow as loud. So I'm just saying. And then on top of that, what are we going to do with the peacock noises? Can we control that? No, we can't, right?
Not if they're in the wild.
Right.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Sebastian.
Yes, so sir. Mayor Hill, you have something?
I think that, I think the city of Sebastian is far behind the county and the other municipalities in not regulating out the roosters. This is to me, quite frankly, a no-brainer. We are a municipality. We are not a farmland, and so I think that we're just way behind. And it would be my preference if we could just go ahead and adjust the ordinance to better represent what we are as a municipality and as a city, and kind of get in line with the other municipalities in Indian River County. So I would like to see this brought back to council if we could.
Anyone else?
What's the charter? If I remember correctly, this goes back to being on a charter review committee several years ago, but there's things in the charter that reference, I think at that time we took out slaughterhouses from being acceptable in the charter.
Yeah, we did. We took out
Is there not something in the
slaughterhouses.
charter that talks about?
I am not aware of that, about roosters or hens.
No, it
No.
just talks about animals, basically, that you can't have, I think, or you could have, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I can bring it back to you next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we had that, and not this last one, but the one that was in prior to, we changed some words because there were things in our charter that said like slaughterhouses
Yeah.
and all of that, which we don't have. So it's one of those cleanup things that we've had to do, and hopefully the next charter comes up, we can clean up a little bit more of the charter to bring it more up to date to where we are now.
Yeah.
But there were some things in there that we really laughed about that was in the charter, so.
I don't have any personal problem with us looking at roosters, but where do you stop? I think that's the key, is that, how, do we want to say that it's okay to have a rooster if the decimals of their crows are below a certain amount, or what? I don't know how we, it's very popular today for people to have chickens because they want fresh eggs. And so, it's a very popular thing for people to have chickens. So I don't know if it's possible to even write an ordinance that can be enforced correctly. I don't know. I hate to put something together and not be able to enforce it.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Mayor Hill.
I don't think this is difficult, and I understand that there's certain popularity in having the chickens, but the fact of the matter is that the roosters are a problem, and they are quite loud, and they crow throughout the evening. It's not just a morning thing like the cartoons like to have. So I don't think it's an issue. We are a city. We are where there's homes packed into this community, and I think you can simply write roosters, and that's the deal. That's the way it's done in other municipalities, and I believe it's quite easy, and it is enforceable, in fact.
Okay. Councilmember Nunn?
Yeah, my recommendation was going to be kind of what Jim's saying. The county covers that in their ordinances. We kind of could just mirror their ordinance. Don't they allow 3 chickens and no roosters in their ordinance? The county?
I'd have to double check it. I think Lisa said they didn't allow chickens, but I'll have to, unless it was ag. But I'll have to go back and look at that again. I could be mistaken. I don't want to mislead you.
I would believe 2 or 3 chickens and no roosters if that's what they're doing. I thought it was Fellsmere didn't have anything, and
It was Fellsmere that
the county had. It was either 2 or 3 chickens and no roosters. But
yeah, you're right. It was
following
Fellsmere that had
their
that.
mirroring their ordinance seems like it makes sense.
So what are you looking at from us? You want direction to bring back a couple different proposals for us or something?
So if the question originally was for us to look at our ordinance and look at how it handled roosters and how we could address, there was two tasks, how we could address the rooster situation with these 2 ladies that came up and spoke. And we're going to try to do that under this persistent noise ordinance. Because even if we change the ordinance, we have to go through, it takes time to do the ordinance, to get it published and get it to 2 readings and all that. So we wanted to address, the first concern was the immediate concern is the noise. And the second thing, what council asked to do was look at the ordinance and see how it addressed roosters, which we did, and it's silent on roosters and not a pun. It's just, it allows, it doesn't prohibit them. So
Right.
the question was, do you want to prohibit roosters? Did you want to prohibit fowl of all kinds, which is cockatoos, or you want to prohibit chickens? I mean, I think Councilmember Dodd said, how far do we go with this? I just, we could chase our tails with this for.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mayor Hill.
Again, we could do that. You're exactly right. We could say that we don't want cockatiels. We don't want anything on your back porch that's chirping and making noise. We don't want parrots. This isn't what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about our roosters. We're talking about farm animals. And so I think it's quite simple. There are other municipalities that have the same law in place. We are not going to be able to regulate everyone. Everyone's not going to follow the law. That's a fact. But the fact of the matter is, if we pass something that regulates out the roosters, the ones that make all of that noise, and the reason, they're out in the farmlands is because they make all that noise, then most people will follow that. And then there will also be recourse for the neighbors who may be next to someone who has a rooster. I don't think we get into, birds and all this other stuff. It's simple. It's roosters. They're the ones that are making all the noise. The peacocks are wild. They run around in our community. That's not some homeowner having something that's making a tremendous amount of noise all throughout the evening. There are other municipalities that have the same law on the books. I simply agree with Councilmember Nunn. We should simply mirror that and go forward. It's really, really not that difficult.
Okay. Anyone else?
Well, here's the one problem. That rooster's there right now. That rooster's gonna stay there. You can't do the law now, and then you gotta get rid of the rooster. Is that correct, Mr. Anand?
No, we can't.
That one's grandfathered in.
It probably will be grandfathered in, but we'll have to look into that if in fact we go forward. Whether or not it could be either retro or prospective.
And Mr. Carlisle, you said you had something you were gonna try first, right, before we bring this back, might remedy this situation?
So we're going to try to address the noise under that 67.1C2. But, I've seen ordinances for this specific thing that allows them, they have a sunset time where you've had this animal, you can't get another one. I've had them written where you have 6 months, and, I've seen them written different ways. We'll have to research that out. So they don't get to keep a rooster forever because they had one.
Right.
Right, because that begs, the question that Mr. Jones brought up. Some people want the fertilized egg. Now I'm gonna have people coming in here, fertilized better than unfertilized. I don't wanna get into that. And I saw next door a couple weeks ago, there was somebody complaining about the neighbor because he sat outside and he coughed all day long. And I mean, I remember I was sat on the council here when the gentleman came in complaining about the cockatoo that lived next door and was going at all hours of the day. I know Mr. Hill remembers that. And that guy and I couldn't imagine a bird just squawking all night. And I know how loud they could be because I got a couple of owls that sit next to me. So, but let's see what your thing comes up with first before we start diving deep into this.
Yeah, but I think you should probably do the research on that so you have something for us. That would be great. Yeah. Did you have anything else, Mr. Carlisle?
I do. We have US 1 corridor from Harrison Street to Davis Street is going to be resurfaced, and there's going to be some profile adjustments, bike lanes added, and some adjustments to the crosswalks to bring them into ADA compliance. And in doing so, they're going to mill off all of the decorative parking and the decorative crosswalks. And the cost to replace that to the city is about $350,000, which we do not have budgeted. And, the original thought was it would come out of CRA, but there's no funding in CRA, which would then push it to general fund. But then looking at how we purchased them the last time we funded it out of DST. And I consider this more of a construction project than a maintenance project. So I think we could still fund it out of DST funds and not affect some of the budget challenges we're going to have next year. And the CRA just doesn't have the funding in its tax base to cover it. So I just want direction from the council because I have to get back to DOT because they're at 60% and they're going to 90% plans, and they need an answer on if the city wants to put that decorative pavement markings back in the crosswalks and the parking spaces or some iteration of that. And I'm not so concerned with the DST funds as I was with the other two funding sources, but I will take direction from council. So it's $350,000, and there's about $11,000 in testing every couple years that we have to do, and it gets prorated over time, but it's a significant cost to the city.
Right. So originally, the city did fund that part, right, for those decorative parking spaces. It was not DOT that funded that part of it?
Yeah, we found that out this morning that in 2012, the city actually paid $300,000 to put the decorative walkways in and parking spaces. It was part of a conjunction project with the request to lower the speed limit, So DOT was it was going to go to 40 mile an hour, and they weren't going to lower it anymore, but because the city had put in this landscaping plan, that they would lower it as part of that landscaping plan, which included the pavement markings, where they would lower it to 35. And so that was all part of a program. I'm not going to suggest that they would change the speed limit because we didn't put the parking back in because they're expanding the bike lane. So that's not the issue, is do we want those decorative markings back, or do we want to just go back with standard parking spaces and crosswalk markings?
Okay. Mayor Hill, do you have any input on that?
Absolutely, I do. Thank you very much for asking. You know, we actually did this many years ago when we added the decorative parking spots because of there were several different reasons. Part of it was to get the speed limit down to 35, but another part of it was to sort of let people know that they're entering a district. And when you drive up US 1 or down US 1 and you drive into the city of Sebastian and you see those decorative stamped parking spots and the crosswalks, you know you're somewhere else. You know you're somewhere special. And I think it's extremely important that, you know, when the city of Sebastian made the commitment to do those things years ago, that we continue that commitment. The CRA is a very special district. The taxpayers of Indian River County and the taxpayers of the city of Sebastian have spent a tremendous amount of money to make that a special place. And we don't want to take a step back. You know, we've had opportunities to improve the CRA through the lighting along Indian River Drive, the sidewalk on Indian River Drive, and the many improvements that we've done in there with the drainage and the FSL grant funding and so many things. We would be really making a mistake, I believe, if we took a step back and said, we're just going to go to regular striping on that road. And then I believe to my core that we would lose part of that feel for our historic riverfront district. So I think it's a no-brainer. I think we need to do what we can to figure out how to come up with the funds that are not going to affect our operating budget or GF. And so I think the city manager and the finance director are awesome and they're experts and they can handle this. So I would like to see us just go forward and say we're gonna go right back with that. We're gonna keep improving this community. You know, the city council had an opportunity many years ago when they built the Main Street parking. They did the Main Street parking lot. They could have just done a regular old parking lot, but they didn't. They did something nice. They did pavers that water can filtrate through. They saved the big oak tree. They did a lot of things there to make that a special corner on Main Street and Indian River Drive. You know, and then, you know, years later, I believe council made a mistake in the Cavcorp parking lot when we had an opportunity to put something very nice there and kind of just paved it over and just made it a big parking lot. So we want to make sure that we maintain the character and feel of our riverfront, because I think that's part of what makes Sebastian such a special place. So I would certainly be in favor of letting DOT know that we fully intend on going forward with stamping those parking spots again.
Yeah, I like that too. I think it's something that our visitors, our residents have come to love, and you know, it definitely has curb appeal for that area. So I would definitely be in favor of keeping that, providing that we can do it and be fiscally responsible when we do that. So
100% agree.
Councilmember Dodd?
When is the FDOT work going to be done? Have they produced a work schedule on this yet?
So I believe the start date is July of 2023.
Okay, and they're not going to redo the parking spot markings. We do that after they finish their work.
It's going to be part of their scope of work.
They're going to actually do the work. They're going to put it down.
Yeah, we're going to actually. They have a line item for it in their bid currently.
When they're going to put it down and expect us to pay for it.
We'll pay for it, and then we'll also have to do a maintenance agreement with them. I'll double check, but I got an email from the engineering firm what the cost is going to be. It's around about $350,000, and when we talked to him, he said it's a pay item in the specs.
Have we competitively bid that? Have we looked at other options from other vendors?
We asked for other options, and they said this is your only option. I asked them if I could do colored microsurfacing, if I could do decorative striping, different things. They said the only option you have is this or standard paving.
So, okay, but they're gonna pave it the way they're gonna pave it, no matter what. And then they're gonna put something on top of the paving. What this down there now is not stamped concrete.
It's a paveway system, like we did on, we mimicked it on.
So
Indonera Drive.
they're gonna do the exact same thing.
That's my understanding, correct?
So they're gonna pave it however they're gonna pave it, whether they put this down or not. And then they're gonna come back on top of that, and they're gonna put down their little molds, they're gonna put down their epoxy, they're gonna put their stuff on it, and they're gonna have a contractor do that, and we're gonna pay for that.
Correct.
And we don't know where they got their price, we don't know any of that kind of stuff.
They're bidding it, so I don't think they even got their exact prices yet. They have cost estimates. So
Okay.
I don't have their bid.
I guess my issue is not whether we want to do something special down there in the parking spaces. My issue is, what do we want to do? I mean, maybe we don't want to do it like it was done. We might want to do something different, like you said, and we might want to be in control of the financials on how we do that. I don't know that I am comfortable with us saying to FDOT, well, you do it, we'll pay you for it, and then have us come back later and say, well, we really don't like what you did. Well, you owe us $300,000
They're gonna put
anyway.
the same thing down that's there, the same pattern and colors that are there. They're not changing, they're gonna do like, but that's the cost.
Councilmember Nunn?
If I, well, my challenge would be is we don't own that road.
Right.
The state owns that road, so I don't know that if we don't let them do it, we're not going to be able to do what we want to do later because we don't own the road. So we can't modify the road, right? Or no?
So
We did it before.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Well,
We did it before.
we did it on the Indian River Drive. Have we done it on US
Yes,
1?
we did that on US 1 also.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead, Mayor Hill.
If I could, and I apologize for interrupting this conversation, but it was a great ordeal to get this done. We did do it. The city of Sebastian did do it, but it was a great ordeal. Now, as we move forward, the DOT is going to put it back the same way it was. It was a great project. It's something that is wonderful for the city of Sebastian. I would not be comfortable just allowing DOT to strike their road at US 1 the way it was before, go back, take a step back in our CRA, and then hope to once again go through the ordeal of making adjustments or changes to their highway. We have an opportunity to go forward. They have a legal bidding process that they have to go through. I'm not sure if it's as stringent as ours, but what we do not want to do is take a step backwards. And so I think it's quite easy. And I think that as long as we can figure out the funding that will not affect the general fund or our budget, understanding that it's a project that's not on the books, then we need to go forward with this. It's, you know, when you start to squabble, maybe we can save $50,000. Maybe we can't. But the fact of the matter is, this is a state road. We worked very hard to get the state to allow us to make some aesthetic improvements to it, and it was a nightmare trying to get it done. And now we can keep it the same. I think that we need to keep it the same because we quite frankly don't want to get back into that pissing match with the state of Florida.
All right. Councilmember McPartland?
I mean, it cost us $300,000 to do it. I just find it interesting that they're gonna be able to do the same thing for only $50,000 more. And I mean, that's kind of amazing to think of. And I took a ride down there before the meeting. And the beauty is that the stamped out spots actually delineate from just the regular side. So you know where it's stamped out that that's an actual spot, because there's a lot of spaces that you can't park in. So this gives you the one. But what does concern, I had talked to Paul a little bit earlier, is they're doing the road. So, and this would include the crosswalks that cross over US 1 where it's stamped out now. And they're going curb to curb. But on the parallel crosswalks, you told me they include those, but if they're just doing the road, that's outside of the road. And that, you know, just make sure that they're in there, because also Main Street is mainly all stamped out. You're gonna have, I don't know how they're gonna match the color, you know, but, you know, it's gonna look a little different. But I would like definitely to make sure that the parallel crosswalks, where they're doing the other crosswalks where it's stamped out, that those are included in this, 350,000.
So this is a 23-24 budget item for us, is what I'm hearing, because if they do their work starting in 23, then we won't have to pay them money until sometime late 23, maybe even early 24.
That would be I think that would be correct.
So this is not something that would be in our 22-23 budget cycle.
No, what we're doing now is, so again, they're at the 60%. They got to get to 90% so they can bid it out. And currently, we need to know whether we want them to include this in that bid package.
All right.
We'll have an updated price. It may not be 350. It may be 400. Who knows what's going to happen with prices between now and then. But at least if we want to do it, we need to let them know, or we're not going to be able to. So, and I can ask them about doing it after the fact. I just don't know that that's my challenge with that. If we have more control over it, maybe, but I think you end up closing the roadway again. That's a long process. So I'll talk to them about it and see what they think.
Is any of this work something that maybe me and Mr. Dodd could advocate for through the MPO? To cover the whole thing, or?
I would appreciate it. We asked DOT, we asked the DOT rep to go back to her supervisors and try to fund it.
Have they solved our crosswalk problems? My understanding was that there were crosswalk issues with whether they were going to actually do crosswalks in the appropriate places on US 1 here.
We got turned down. We wanted mid-block crosswalks to make it safe for the number of people that cross in places where there's no crosswalks. We identified those. We had a corridor study done, and the traffic and the pedestrian traffic didn't warrant it, but they didn't do them during one of our events or something. So it's a losing battle on that one. We tried. Lisa, I give her credit. She fought tooth and nail to try to get those mid-block crosswalks, and I give her all the credit. She fought and fought and fought, and it was no at every turn.
So what are you looking from us for tonight, though? Is consensus of whether or not you want to go forward with looking at whether the numbers are going to work out for us or not? But I like the project the way it is, and I'd like it to stay that way. So
I agree.
I'd like to have consensus if the city council wants to put back the crossings and the parking spaces as they are and include it in the DOT plans.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel they're part of Sebastian.
And it matches all the other side streets.
Right.
There was a question that was asked, do we want to add Harrison Street to the list if we're going to do all that? The crosswalk at Harrison.
Well, but are we still discussing the possibility of changing that park structure around Harrison Street?
That was my concern about adding it. I don't know how much change it does up to that end. So, we can leave it and do it as part of the Harrison Street project.
Yeah.
Which would be my preference, unless you feel like that's not. But I don't think we know what's going to happen to
I
Harrison.
don't know that we have enough information, but I just wanted to bring it up because I was asked that question. And I just don't want to leave something out of the conversation that was brought to my attention, so.
Okay, all right.
All right, so let's just see if we have a consensus. I'm okay with moving forward with the way it is. Let DOT.
Yeah, I'm okay as long as we're doing it in the 23-24 budget cycle, not in this next budget cycle. We have enough issues in the next budget cycle that we don't need to add $400,000.
July 23 is when the project starts. They won't get to that. There's a lot of drainage improvements, but.
Yeah, I mean, I like them. I think they're attractive, and they do delineate the parking spaces. Although on a heavy event timeframes or when there's a lot of boat traffic, they don't really care whether it's a red spot or not.
So it sounds like we have a consensus.
If the car is in the red spot and the trailer's in the not red spot, that's okay, right?
We're pretty lenient on that.
Mayor Hill, I didn't hear you. Are you in agreement with moving forward with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you have your orders, Mr. Carlisle.
For that, I have nothing further unless you have additional questions for me.
Okay. Next thing we have is city clerk matters. Come on, Jeanette, give me something. Okay. Council matters. Councilmember McPartland.
Yes, I guess just in going along with National Peace Officers Week, next week, is that the sheriff will be holding a multi-agency law enforcement memorial Monday, the 16th, in front of the Indian River County Courthouse at 10 a.m.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there.
Okay.
All right, is that all
That's
for
it.
you, sir?
That's it.
Okay, Councilmember Nunn.
I only have one thing. It's exciting today. So a friend of mine, good friends of mine, their daughter got her driver's license today. And she asked her parents, she says, I want to drive somewhere today. So Abigail decided to drive and go to the city council for her first drive ever as a licensed driver. I just think it's exciting to have youth excited about government. That's wonderful. That's all I have.
All right. Councilmember Dodd.
All right, now that the city streets are safer, so, yeah, I just have one thing. Commissioner Moss brought this up, and I wanted to kind of reiterate it. Just to make sure everybody understands, the city of Sebastian is not required to follow the visioning document that the county produces. However, the visioning document that the county produces, hopefully we can make it make sense. So we want to try to follow part of it. And that's where we need to get people involved in it. The meetings that she talked about, the two that are in this part of the county is at 2 p.m. on Monday the 16th from 2 to 3:30 in the Fellsmere City Hall. So if you can't attend an evening meeting, then you might want to try to go to that one. And then the Sebastian Community Center from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. On Tuesday the 17th, they're meeting at the Indian River State College Richardson Center in just past Home Depot down that College Lane. On Wednesday the 25th, they're meeting at the Vero Beach Community Center. And then the IRC Intergenerational Recreational Center. And then on Thursday, June the 2nd, there are meetings in Gifford at the Gifford Achievement Center, and then at 6 p.m. in the Gifford Community Center. I will tell you, I've been to these meetings, these workshops, and I have seen the document that's been produced and the slides that have been produced. And I think that the desires of the people in Sebastian have not necessarily been represented very well in this. And it's only because the stuff I'm seeing is coming from people from other parts of the county. So if you live in Sebastian and you're interested in what the development might look like just across your border at the corner of 510 and 66th Avenue, then you might want to go to these visioning workshops and see what they're talking about doing. It's very important to do that. So I just want to reiterate that. So that's my matters. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Mayor Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, Vice Mayor Jones, excuse me. Thank you, Ed, for bringing that up. And it's nice to have a county commissioner who comes to our meetings and gives us the information and gives our citizens that type of information because, you know, the voice of the city of Sebastian is incredibly important. So thank you, Ed, for bringing that up. And thank you, Commissioner Moss, for coming to our meeting and caring about what the citizens of Sebastian have to say. Also, I wanted to thank you, Vice Mayor Jones. You did a heck of a job tonight running the meeting. Thank you for doing that in my absence. Very much appreciated. Wanted to thank Mr. Anand for his service. I appreciate everything you're doing for us, our country, and next week, Hua. And then the last question, are we, it was a little unclear on the rooster issue. Are we asking the city manager to bring back an ordinance that bans roosters? Because that's what I would be in favor of, something that mirrors the other communities. I don't believe we got much of a consensus from council on that. So I'm kind of just a little confused on that right now.
Yeah, Mr. Carlisle, were you clear on your orders on that?
So let me ask the question, and you can tell me if I'm clear. My understanding is to look at what the county has and look at not having roosters, but having the ability to have fowl. That was what I understood.
Right.
My direction was. Is that
correct?
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine with me.
Okay.
Same thing, Vero Beach. Vero Beach has a good law, everything, rock and roll. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate everyone. Have a great night.
All right, thank you. And I have nothing further. I think I've talked enough tonight, read the proclamations and everything else. So this meeting is adjourned.